We are Yara and Chris, and we are telling you something about the implementation of your results. Because for us, it's also really important to think about for who are your results important and what are you going to do with your results. So I will guide Chris for our presentation.
Yes. Okay.
The first slide says implementation gap.
That's right.
So what can you tell us about that?
The implementation gap. Well, I can tell you that in the 9 years that I've been working here at ZonMw, we've all noticed there's a huge gap between the results that research generates and the fact that and the implementation of those results. What we're trying to do with the implementation gap is to keep that gap as small as possible. That's our aim, is so that those results that we do generate from research can be implemented and taken to the next step. Yes.
So Linda mentioned some project types.
Yes.
What about them?
Yeah.
And,
well, whether you are going to apply for a data analysis project or an implementation project or an implementation failure project, the main thing that all these projects have in common is the fact that they generate results and they generate knowledge. And all that knowledge and those results can be either put into practice or they can be used to initiate follow-up research. And so that's what all these projects have in common, is that you will generate results. And we look at those results because we want to make sure that those results are implemented within your project or within the setting that your project was conducted in. And we also look at, can these results be implemented in a broader sense to increase the overall impact of your project on the ABR problem.
And for this we use productive interactions, right?
That's right, that's right. We use what ZonMw calls and what European implementation science calls productive interactions. And if we break down that term a bit, we first look at the interactions. So it has to do with the collaborations, with contact, with cooperation between parties, entities, individuals, beneficiaries, end users. So that's the interaction. We all have to keep talking with each other, keep each other in the loop, as it were. And the reason that these interactions are productive, yes, is because it's the idea that they will increase the results of a project, that the project will have a greater impact overall. So that's what.
And this will then result also in usable knowledge products,
right?
That's
right. That's one of them. Yes, that's one. Knowledge products, or an intervention, or guidelines, or new policy. It can result in a whole lot of different results and activities.
And what about co-funding or in-kind contributions?
Yeah, that's also that's one of the productive interactions. If you have a co-funder or someone who gives an in-kind contribution, it means they are committed to your project and it's committed to your results. So it's very important to work with those parties from as early as possible and as soon as possible in your process. So you're all thinking, after Linda just said, oh, let me see what I'm gonna write my application about, and it's gonna be interesting. But we also have to be thinking about what you're going to be doing with your results when the project is finished. And we want you to start thinking about that now, as early as possible. And doesn't only have to do with co-funding or contributions in kind, but it also has to do with relevant stakeholders who will also be involved in your project. So your end users, your policymakers, get them on board as quick as possible.
And also during the whole process, right?
That's right, during the whole process, yes, because that gives them, that they're committed to your project, and that gives them ownership of the project if they're involved, and that can only work to your advantage.
And it also will help the dissemination and
Yes.
the implementation in the end.
That's right.
I think.
That's right. Yes, that's true.
And so, why is choosing a strategy important?
Choosing a strategy, an implementation strategy, is important because we want to prevent. What you don't want is that professionals who you want to use your results, they don't know about them. Is that a good thing? No, it's not. You also want to prevent that professionals can't implement your results or use them because they don't have the knowledge or the skills or the means. And what you also want to prevent is that they don't want to use your intervention or your results. So for example, if someone came onto your work floor and said, you have to do this right now, and would you, if no one had asked you and someone came in and they said, you have to do this right now, would you do it?
No.
Nah, probably not. But if someone said to you in the beginning, hey, I see that there's a problem and we want to help you solve it, what do you think about, how about this and this? And then they think about it and they work with you and you take their comments and you can take them into consideration, and then you come back later and you say, this is what I came up with. What do you think? Would you give it a try then?
I see nodding faces.
Nodding faces, good. Not yes, yeah. So there's the common denominator through all of this is keep people and keep everyone involved in your project. And let's see. Yeah. So you want to, yeah. And
thereby you then also enhance the capability and opportunity.
Right. And you
motivation.
Motivate people, and you can help them change their behavior. Yes. Yeah.
So we also got some tips from fellow researchers.
Yes, we do.
Who told me.
Yeah. Well, here we come back again to involvement and collaboration. Does anybody see a trend here? So we're working with. You want to work with professionals, and we call them learning networks. So you want to work with professional associations. So the Institute for Microbiologists or the general practitioners. You want to work with the overarching umbrella organizations, for example. But you don't want to forget education, because people aren't going to know about your results if you don't tell them. And it's better to get students involved and trained from the beginning. So that's, yeah, those are the learning networks. It's also very important to involve higher management in your project, because what I've seen in my years here is that the professionals who are practicing, they want to try a new intervention, but management blocks it sometimes. So you really have to try and get higher management on board to commit to your project. What you also want to do is involve. You have so many valuable colleagues been in your organization. So involve your communications department. They're very helpful. They want to help you. That's what they're there for. They can help you think about how you can best approach your target groups. So, and what kind of information, what's a good way to present information to your target groups? Where can we find them? Because you want to present your information about your project and your results in understandable language. You also have a whole lot of colleagues who are possibly working on similar projects to yours or with similar target groups. It's really important to get in contact with them, with colleague researchers, to make sure that maybe you can work together with communication, and that way you won't only increase the fact that your results will be implemented and taken to the next step, but you might help a whole lot of other people with other projects too, which will have a greater impact on the problem.
Thanks. So I heard that there are some other tips also for how to write the proposal, how to include implementation in your proposal.
Yes, that's true. What we need to concentrate on is looking at your project team. Make sure that try and get your stakeholders and your beneficiaries and your end users involved in your project team. Get them on board. get an implementation expert on board, because they can brainstorm with you and help you think about in what ways you could disseminate and your knowledge about your project and implement the results in your setting and in other settings. And what we also have is on the ZonMw website is a tool to help you make an implementation plan, and that's in Dutch, but it's pretty easily translated into the elements, and that plan looks at those productive interactions that we talked about, and it will help you put things into perspective for yourself about what are my target groups, who are my stakeholders, who's going to use my project, my results, what kind of information can I give, and what would be a good next step.
Yes, thanks for all those tips,
You're welcome.
Chris.
Yes.
And there's also more information on the website.
That's right. There's more information on the ZonMw website, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. And like Linda said, we cannot write your proposal for you. We can't say what's not going to be accepted or not, because but you have to persuade the committee. But yeah, use the information on the website and contact us if you have any. If you have any questions.
Yes, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Speaking of questions.